This right here is my 2-year-old, 3,000 kilometers ridden Onewheel XR. And it's seen better days. And this right here is a brand new, never before ridden Onewheel XR.
I started making this video about 18 months ago, and at that point the plan was to make a video about Onewheel accessories and should you buy them or is it a waste of money. But in the time it took me to make this video, a few things happened. One is that Future Motion announced the new Onewheel Pint X, which has like 95% of the XR's features and performance for $400 less. And two is that they made the new Onewheel GT, which is a significantly higher performing board for about $400 more. And so all that leads to a very natural question, which is the XR obsolete? Oh my gosh, it happened again. In the process of making this video about that video, just this morning, Onewheel announced that the XR has been officially discontinued. All of that and more coming up on this episode of Jesse tied a green screen to his back, because he can.
It's almost hard to believe that this used to look like this, but I mean, when you spend thousands of kilometers on trails and the streets in my city, not so good. And I have never, ever babied this thing. I smash it up and down curbs and off drops and over roots and anything you could imagine, and you would think, don't do that to that expensive electric vehicle. I've done it, and it has kicked
So in this video, I want to explain to you not only why the XR is absolutely not obsolete, but why I still think it is the greatest invention of all time. I would not hesitate to purchase one in 2021 or 2022 or 2023 or you get the point. And with an influx of riders that are going to be upgrading to the GT, the used market should be flooded with XRs in the coming months. And I think that's going to be the best way to dip your toes into the Onewheel waters.
This will be a voiceover.
Let's start out by talking about durability, because these things are absolute tanks. I can only speak from my own experience, of course, but my experience has been stellar. I've dropped it down rocky escarpments.
No!
Been caught in torrential downpours, and have been commuting on them through Canadian winters for the last 4 or 5 years. However, your mileage may vary, so it would be in your best interest to take better care of your boards than I have. And that means protecting the rails with some rail guards and avoiding water as much as possible, and seriously, try not to drop it off cliffs.
Come on! Just twice?
Still works.
All right, that's all I'm gonna do right now. I'm going on a Father's Day adventure ride tonight, so I thought I'd film this before it got all thrashed out.
I've talked about this in the past, but I like the XR more than I like the Pint. I like it more than I like the Pint X. And even though Onewheel has the GT coming out soon, and I'm particularly susceptible to lusting after new technology, I would be more than happy to just have the XR for as long as I could imagine. It has brought so much joy to my life, and in fact, some of my favorite memories over the past few years have been on Onewheels with no cameras around. I find the range of the XR for how and where I ride is more than enough, with almost no exceptions. And the only time I really wish that I had more power on the motor is when I'm off-road and trying to climb a pretty aggressive hill where the motor starts to struggle. And this opinion of mine isn't particularly unique. If you go online, there are thousands and thousands of people who will talk about their Onewheels the exact same way that I do. They are obsessed with them, and it's for good reason. And in fact, this brings up a cool point, which is that the community of Onewheel riders, both online and in cities across the world, is something really, really cool. There are weekly group rides and meetups. There's super cool race events and trick events that I've seen happen all around the US especially. Not to mention all the shops and third-party accessory makers that have popped up over the last few years that do a really good job of promoting and pushing the Onewheel community forward. And this right here brings up a somewhat complicated issue that exists between Future Motion, the makers of the Onewheel, and the third-party mod, repair, upgrade community that exists surrounding Onewheel products.
Wheel XR!
But right before we dive into that, well, I've got some bills to pay.
Gosh, YouTube is hard, man.
You know what doesn't have to be hard? Good design. This mournful funeral march for the Onewheel XR is brought to you by the fine folks over at Canva. Do you have a computer or a smartphone or a tablet or something like that? Then you don't need to buy anything else. You have everything you need right now to create an infinite number of fantastic designs for web or print, or those are the main two places you would put design. No matter what your skill level is, you can now create graphics, social media posts, video titles, logos, flyers, posters, website banners, and just so many other things that would have traditionally taken way more time. And saving time saves you money, all while adding a personal and professional touch to posts for your business or website, or your poster campaign for your traveling Cirque du Soleil sword-swallowing barbershop quartet. Here's a clip from some of the Onewheel shots that I got that I wanted to use as an Instagram story to promote this video on my Instagram. And here it is in the Canva app. Add a little bit of this, some of that, this thing and the other. And just like that, I've got a cool looking promotional piece for my social media to let people know that I've got a new video where I throw my Onewheel in the garbage. And you can even do all of this from a web browser. And everyone has a web browser, and Canva says that design is for everyone. And everyone includes you. And you are my hero. So click the link, the description, Canva, down below. It's great, you'll like it. It makes design easier. And things are better when they're easier. Well, not always. Brings up a somewhat complicated issue that exists between Future Motion and the third-party community that exists surrounding Onewheel products. There are companies that offer battery swaps, waterproof kits, custom rails, kits to drop the board lower or raise it up higher. You can swap your tire. You can do all these things that I think are really cool and can improve the ride. But to play devil's advocate here a little bit, I understand why Future Motion might not love this, because when people buy these boards, they are putting their safety, their life in the hands of this board. I ride fast in crowded cities, and I put so much trust that the board will do what they say the board will do. So it makes sense to me that Future Motion would be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't open this thing up yourself and change the electrical components or swap out batteries. And in general, I am team right to repair. I think if you buy a product, you should have the right to do what you want to that product that's in your possession.
That was fun.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand on all this. I really like and appreciate all the third-party manufacturers that I've gotten to deal with in the past. And I respect Future Motion's desire to keep people safe, or at the very least, wash their hands clean of liability should injuries or death occur on these boards. I think it's important to remember that, I want Future Motion to succeed. I want them to continue creating these fantastic products, quite simply because it has brought immeasurable joy to my life over the last few years, and I plan on continuing that journey. I didn't really plan on spending this much time on this topic, so I'll finish with a few things here. If you are the type of person that's mega into DIY and fixing things yourself and upgrading, repairing, that kind of stuff, the XR may be your last chance with the Onewheel to get involved in that world. And I say that because it does seem like the GT is taking intentional steps away from that being a possibility. So for example, The tire on the GT is non-standard, which means at least right now, if you want to swap it, you'll have to send it to Onewheel and have them do the swap for you. For me, this is not such a big deal because honestly, I'm not a super competent DIY person. It's not like where my skill set lies. And even though I did do a tire swap on my XR, I didn't like doing it, and it's just because for like at least a week, maybe more afterwards, I was constantly terrified, like what if I did something wrong? What if a cable's loose or it's gonna come, you know? I was just afraid I was gonna die all the time. I have a feeling that this right to repair kind of conversation is probably gonna dominate the comment section, so have at it. Be nice. Oh, and I guess I never mentioned this, but even though I've gotten new boards and upgraded boards, I ended up just giving those to people on long-term loans. This is my original XR back from 2018, and I love it. And unless I end up maybe getting my hands on a GT, this will be the board I continue to ride day in, day out through 2022. Because no, the XR is not obsolete. It's still the greatest thing ever made. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good day, and I hope you aren't rude to people in the comments if they disagree with you on something. Like, life's too short, man. Life's too short to just be a dick to strangers. Oh, also, I got a video on the InMotion V12, an electric unicycle that I'm still working on, so if you're curious about my thoughts on that, that'll be coming soon. But before I make that video, I want to make sure that I'm like giving it a really fair shot. I want to get good on that thing before I say, you know, one way or the other what I think about it. Thanks for watching. Okay.